Hey everybody, Joe Casabona here from Podcast Workflows. And now that RSS feed ingestion from YouTube is widely available, at least here in the United States, I wanted to share some of my thoughts now that I've been using it for a while, give you some alternatives, let you know my general thoughts, and just go from there. This is just kind of like a stream of consciousness video, maybe. And so I will say right at the top here that if you don't have another free option, then definitely use YouTube's RSS ingestion. Um, it is definitely better to have your podcast on YouTube, even in an audio only format, than to not. So let's actually jump over to YouTube and I'll show you kind of a few different options here. So this is, first of all, this is my dashboard. I'll get to that in a minute. This is what the video looks like if we're just using YouTube's RSS ingestion. So if you have custom artwork, you will see that here in the video. It's kind of weird. I mean, I guess I understand why, because they're just pulling from an RSS feed, but it's kind of weird that this is boxed. Like they're not even trying to make it look nicer with like a matching background or something like that. And then they pull the exact description from the RSS feed exactly as it is. They add it to a playlist that you need to specify. And even if we go to my channel, you'll see that the thumbnails, like they don't even try to dress up the thumbnails. Like this is just which I don't really like. I have my VA's been out, but I usually have my VA go in and update the thumbnails. This is what I have. I have my VA going in and updating the artwork. So this is what you get by default on YouTube. My other host, Transistor.fm, they will kind of push these videos over, and you have to upload an image, and that image serves as the thumbnail and the entire video. They push the show notes as you put them in the feed as well. The main difference between YouTube and Transistor is that if you have dynamically inserted ads like I do, then uh, those will not show up if you use Transistor. They will show up if you use YouTube, because YouTube is just grabbing the processed audio from the feed, whereas Transistor is pushing the audio that you've uploaded. So if you have like time sensitive dynamic ads, maybe if you're promoting an event like we are for Start Local, right? At the beginning of every Start Local episode, right now we're running a pre-roll ad telling people about this live in-person event that we're doing. That's not going to be in the YouTube video because we're pushing it with Transistor. If we were just using RSS ingestion through YouTube, it would be there. So I love the fact that the dynamic ads or the dynamic audio is not being pushed if you use something like Transistor. It does offer another opportunity if you do sell dynamic ads, right? First of all, there's some rules. I keep saying first of all, but there are some rules around YouTube and how you're allowed to push ads to YouTube. So like if you do like actual dynamic ad insertion where it's not a host read ad, you're technically not allowed to put that in to your YouTube videos, right? They want it to be baked in because ultimately they're going to start selling ads for monetized channels for podcasts. So if you're not monetized at all, great. Don't even worry about what I just said. But that's something to consider. So this is Transistor. The other one I want to show you is RSS.com. Full disclosure, I am an evangelist for RSS.com. And so they pay me to tell people about them. That's not why I'm including them in this video, though. This video is not affiliated with RSS.com in any way, but they do have a really, what I think is one of the best that I've seen, at least, ways of pushing podcast episodes to YouTube, because they don't just push the audio like the other two we've looked at, right? Here's Transistors, and then here's what we have over on YouTube. With RSS.com, we have the chapters built in, right? And I should say, like, if I were to include chapter markers in the RSS feed text, right, for how I built it, like if I were to include chapter markers, then we would see them. I'm gonna say like the same thing goes for Transistor. If you were to include chapter markers in the description, then they would get pushed. But RSS.com does a pretty nifty thing where like they extract it from the audio and put it in the description, which I think is cool. They also, if you're doing custom chapter artwork, they will add that here, and they have like, they have the wave file going. So this is a bit of a more dynamic video, which I think in general is better on YouTube. Like if people are going to take the time to put a video up, give them some sort of visual, I guess. Of course, the argument against that is that if people are listening on YouTube Music, the YouTube Music app, maybe they're not watching the video, which is maybe a better case for just not doing anything. But, I think if you can include some of this stuff automatically, then, right, no harm, no foul. So I'll try to find a screenshot actually I haven't even looked at my podcast in in YouTube Music. So let me see if I can bring that up for you. And it's pretty standard fare here, right? We've got the same things that we kind of see in the web interface. So now if I go back and I look at let's say rss.com, so it is showing the video in here, and then if I just switch to audio, we see the thumbnail. So and then if can we see chapter markers? So it looks like the YouTube Music app doesn't necessarily support chapter markers. So, I guess it's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. The more details you include for the web interface, the better. But, I think YouTube is making some of its own decisions here. So when I initially did the RSS ingestion, when I configured this as an RSS feed, there were a few options that I needed to select, which was a little frustrating to me. So upload all episodes is what I chose. And then for anything that I had already uploaded, I'll just show you here, filter visibility, unlisted or private. You could see that something went completely haywire. I think it's like any time I deleted a video because I already had a duplicate up that already had views, it just re-uploaded a bunch of those. So now I have like 3 or 4 copies, or 5 copies really, of a bunch of these videos. And again, if I delete them, they come back for some reason, or they can't. At least when I did this in November, this is how I spent part of my Thanksgiving morning while watching the parade. I noticed that this was happening, and so I had to set them to private. And so if I knew that, I think I would have just either done it from the date or not turn it off. But what I'm probably going to end up doing now is in Transistor, I'm probably going to turn the YouTube integration back on. Actually, one more thing I should say here is I haven't necessarily seen a benefit to doing YouTube's RSS ingestion over just pushing the video a different way. Like, as far as I can tell, it's still very much based on the content. So they're not, at least at this point, they're not masking discovery, certainly. Probably because they know they're going to mess up a bunch of video podcasts, right? So I would say at this point, if you have no other option, definitely use the YouTube RSS ingestion. I'll link to my tutorial on how to do that in the description for this video. If you have another option where you can control the thumbnail a little better, or like with RSS.com's podviz, you get more details sent over. I would probably do that, right? I'm gonna turn transistors back on. And the last thing I would say is this, right? Podcasting and YouTube are not the same. And so I think if you really want to make YouTube work, you at the very least probably need to include the chapter markers and do custom thumbnails. I think the custom thumbnails are probably important. YouTube recommends that you keep the title the same as the one in your podcast feed. I think that makes sense. So I think in general, just practice good titles. If you want to really be on YouTube, you need to play the YouTube games. So I think your most important takeaway here is get your podcast episodes, even if they're audio only, to YouTube, and then do the things that make YouTube videos popular, right? Make it easy for people to navigate them with chapters, spend some time on custom thumbnails, make sure your titles in both the podcast feed and on YouTube are enticing and not boring. And those are the things that will set you up for success, whether you have a video or not. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions about this, let me know, right? I haven't dug deep into this because I'm not trying to really make YouTube work. Those are just my initial thoughts, but I'm happy to answer any questions and explore even more. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you out there.